It was because they felt that four of you did not represent them. And that's what happened when we were a colony of England. We had taxation without representation, and we overthrew the crown. Now, a gentleman earlier talked about there not being sufficient time to prepare for such an election as this. I don't know if you were watching when our neighbors in North Canada changed their entire government recently. Their total time from deciding on redoing the government until having it vote, I think it was 87 days or 67 days, but it's a very short period of time. And they had a huge change in government, went from a very conservative form of government to what we might call a liberal form of government. I don't think we're going to change that much, and there's been much said about the term second class, and I think everybody who is a Seahawks fan thinks we've got to be number one, we've got to be number one. Well, folks, second class citizen merely means the number of people, the population of people that live in the town. It has nothing to do with inferiority and superiority. What it will have is an opportunity for people to determine if their leadership is effective and representational, and if it's not, you overthrow it. It's done all the time, and it's done peacefully, and it's done by projecting enough information into the community. Now, I realize that our daily paper doesn't give you all the information that you need, but with the radio, the television, protocol, several other civic groups, you can get the information that you need, and I'm sure all of you will go on speaking tours and decide how good it is to change government or how bad it is to change government. But the main point remains that there are enough people in this community to make reasoned and sound decisions, and it is up to you to allow them that opportunity to make their reasoned and sound decision. And I certainly urge you to go ahead and put that on the ballot just as soon as you can. If it's successful and the government is changed, we'll deal with it. If it is unsuccessful and government change, it's off the table, and it probably won't be brought up again. But it is something that you need to get off the table one way or another, and I certainly hope you'll put it on the ballot. Thank you.
We are at item D, main items. I'd like to offer a statement and considerations of the council this evening for a few minutes, if I may. I prepared this statement earlier today after much consideration, prayer, and pondering. So please allow me for a moment or two. And members of the council, this is directed to members down in the broader sense you. As mayor, I would like to add the topic of municipal water fluoridation as the first item under other considerations on tonight's agenda. I'd like this to be our first item of discussion held before the petition to reclassify us as a second-class city, with us postponing the consent agenda until later in the evening. In February of this year, the Peninsula Daily News published a long-worded editorial written by publisher Terry Ward and executive editor Leah Leach. It offered their view of how the council had handled the fluoridation issue, particularly the advisory board. And I will now subsequently, I'm going to read excerpts from that editorial, quoting it. Port Angeles City Council has mismanaged the processes of obtaining public input for the fluoridation of city water to the point that many members of the public feel disenfranchised rather than empowered by those elected to represent them. The rift has led to a movement by those who feel unrepresented by the majority of the city council to downgrade Port Angeles city government from a code city to a second-class city. Surely there's a better way to deal with the fluoridation question than by changing the form of city government for the sake of what issue? The PDN editorial continues, how can we as a community hit the reset button to bring down the animosity and have a productive dialogue? Many of those opposed to the fluoridation issue refer to the survey as a vote. They see the council's January 5th decision to continue fluoridation despite a majority of survey respondents opposing it as a slap in the face of democracy. The editorial continues, quoting, the survey was not a vote, even as the survey was deeply flawed. Our elected officials on the council should go back to the drawing board and diffuse the situation by listening to their constituents. That could be done through an advisory vote. An advisory vote would give a better picture of the wishes of its constituents than an informal, flawed survey. In closing, the editorial said, if such a vote were taken, all parties would need to agree to abide by it. End quote. Since that editorial came out, I have been watching events unfold and have come to agree with the authors of the editorial. I thought this months ago, as well as others who have spoken to me about how this issue has divided our community. People feel disenfranchised because we asked their opinion through a flawed survey. And it did not abide by the majority's wishes. As a result, we are not only seeing negative propositions brought forward that could harm our city, but to divide is interfering with our ability to work on many important issues. Having said that, I'm proposing that in order to respectfully recognize the results of the survey of water users, we consider ending fluoridation of the city's municipal water supply until such time that an advisory vote of registered voters can be taken during the 2017 municipal election. During the time between now and the results of the 2017 election, the city would retain and maintain its fluoridation facilities so that if Port Aransas registered voters choose to continue with water fluoridation, then we can do so. Most important is that council would agree and honor the outcome of that advisory vote. My view of the validity and benefit of water fluoridation has not changed. I believe it is in the best interest of this community to continue with fluoridation. However, I recognize that things are not working, and I believe the poll was flawed. But more than that, I believe that this city needs to heal. I care deeply about the current and future state of the city and desire to have Port Aransas be the best city it can be. My hope is that we can find a pathway to step forward together. With that said, I would ask that we, as a council, consider stopping fluoridation of the city municipal water supply until an advisory vote can be taken of Port Aransas' registered voters during the 2017 municipal election, and further, that the council honor the outcome of that advisory vote. I love the city. I love the citizens of the city. I have for 42 years. I guess I may be being influenced to some degree by all the horrific things that are going on in this country of ours and throughout the world. Some of you have said to me, some of you who sit in this audience, it's not about fluoride anymore. Well, it's sort of the way it is. But you know what it really is about in this community is making this be the best place it can possibly be. And until we learn to work together and find common ground, we're never going to reach that goal. It saddens me that we cannot agree. And I've seen communities throughout this state, throughout this country, who have had very great difficulties in agreeing with each other. And the results of those communities and where they are is not a good place to be. So therefore, I would encourage and ask the council to consider this matter as item I1. I would hope that you would concur with me. I would invite a lively, robust discussion on this matter and stand to have it open up the discussion if the council agrees with my request for this item on the agenda.